I guess, was it right around this time that you ended up appearing on Celebrity Apprentice, which was Donald Trump's show at the time?
Yeah, so they throw you out of office and you've got leprosy, right? Nobody wants what you got. So when these feds are on you like that and you've been charged like that internationally, and at that time I was portrayed as the biggest asshole in the world next to Madoff, because Madoff's case hit right about the same time, right? Nobody wants to come near you because they don't want those feds looking at them. So it's a very lonely experience, and you can't do business with anybody. In the meantime, I didn't get rich in the business, unlike almost everybody else. My wife worked as an executive director in a homeless organization, did a great job, but because they get resources from government, federal, state, and local, they terminated their contract with her. Unlawful. I mean, she could have it was a breach of contract, but we can't sue a homeless organization. So both of us don't have any income. We have a mortgage to pay. We have our kids in school, and they were going to Montessori schools, which is private, and you have to pay for that. So we had no income. And then I discovered, strangely enough, that there's one place where you can earn a living if there's interest, and it was the entertainment world. Never in my wildest dreams do I imagine I'm ever going to do reality television. I never watched it. And so that's how Celebrity Apprentice came about, because at the time I was such a notorious figure in a negative way, but I was good for ratings. And so we had some opportunities to do some reality television, my wife and I, and it helped pay the bills during those period between the accusations and the trials.
Right. And I think that same year you had an interview with Esquire, and this is what you had mentioned earlier. You said, "I'm blacker than Barack Obama. I shine shoes. I grew up in a 5-room apartment. My father had a little laundromat in a black community not far from where he lived. I saw it all growing up."
Yeah, that's right. I went to public school, and then I talked about how Obama, didn't really live that experience. He grew up in Hawaii, gone to Harvard and, the Ivy League schools, and that, most of the kids in the hood that I knew growing up and I went to high school with, and that was not their experience. Their experience was similar to what mine was. And I said that, and the context of that is I had an Esquire magazine reporter follow me around for a couple of days. You got to be careful with these news people, they exploit you. And, it's my fault. I said that, and then I apologized for saying it. But it was a Saturday when I said it. I had run that day because I hadn't eaten all day, and I'd run my 7-8 mile route. And we went to a friend's house, a dear friend by the name of Bill Conforti, Italian-American, and he's a good host. He's got all this food out there. We were going to watch the Manny Pacquiao-Ricky Hatton fight with him and some friends. And the reporter from Esquire followed me because he was doing this profile. And he seemed to be a nice guy, and in spite of it, I think he's a nice guy. His name is Scott Rabb. And I hadn't eaten, and I was thirsty, and my host gave me this drink called limoncello. You ever have one of those?
Yep.
It tastes like lemonade, but it's got alcohol in it. And I was thirsty, so I had one, and I wanted another one. And before I know it, I'm like a little bit buzzed, right? And I'm shooting, I'm too free with what I'm saying. And Pacquiao is on the screen, and I start pontificating to this guy about how it starts when you get this hunger in your heart to really make something of yourself. You get what I call a chip on your shoulder. And I told him it starts when you're a kid, it happens in the schoolyard, when someone fucks with you, or, you've had some experiences at a young age, and you have this hunger to prove yourself and a desire. And I was pointing out how Manny Pacquiao has that, because I'm a big admirer of him. I boxed Golden Gloves when I was a kid, so I had an affinity for boxers too. And I'm talking like that. And that's when I spilled into, the affinity that I always had growing up, for the black community and how they were underdogs in our history. And that when I was governor, a lot of my policies were focused on trying to provide more fairness to a community that historically has been fucked in America. And so in that context, I was saying, I'm a lot more, I said my experience made me more black than Obama. I said it then. And then I didn't think much of it. And then weeks and months went by. And then, it takes a while for these articles to come out. I forgot all about it. And then, 6 months later, Esquire magazine profile of me came out. And I was like 3:30 in the morning, and I got used to this. It's like Pavlov's dogs, you get used to the sound. You can get the sound of the TV trucks when they come around your house, and the masthead goes up, and the blinking sound happens, and you hear it. And they generally come for the early morning news around 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning around your house. I started hearing that too familiar, unhappy sound of those TV trucks. And I jumped out of bed. I knew, oh boy, this has got to be bad. And I look out the window, and there the TV trucks were, and I knew this was going to be some bad news somehow. I wasn't sure. I had no idea what it was, but I knew it was bad. But I went back to sleep, figured nothing I could do until 5:30 or 6 when I'll call one of my lawyers. And sure enough, I got a phone call from my lead lawyer, and he says, Governor. And I said, yeah, Sam. And he said, we got a problem. And I said, yeah, I'm sensing that. There's TV trucks around my house. Now what, Sam? And he said, did you say you were blacker than Obama? And my first reaction was, what? What? He said, did you say you were blacker than Obama? And I said, I never said that. And then it dawned on me. Wait a minute, hold on a minute, Sam. Wait a minute. And he said, well, Esquire magazine came out and said you said it. And then my recollection was refreshed, and I said, Sam, I might have said that. Read it to me. What did they say I said? He read the quote to me, and then it all came back to me because it was like 6 months before. And I said, yeah, I think I said that. And he said, well, you got some explaining to do. And so I went out not long after that and met with the media to explain the context of it, apologize to the black community because no white guy should say that, because a white guy can never really understand, that sort of day-to-day stuff that some black person experiences in a country that's a majority white, or in a place where you might walk into a white neighborhood, particularly back then and in the previous generation, how they might feel. I could never really understand that. And so I correctly apologized for that. And but I acknowledged saying it. And one of the reporters was trying to help me, I think, and she asked me, is it possible you were misquoted? Like you insist that, they won't play the tapes and all the rest. But I said, oh, no, I was quoted properly. I said that. And I apologized for it, and I shouldn't have said it. But I talked about my affinity for the black community and how, while it was a big step forward to have elected the first black president, nothing had changed. Obama had been president for a while, and the circumstances and challenges of, the black community, high crime, inferior schools, inferior health care, those things were still very real for everyday people in the black neighborhoods, and that I felt for them, and that's why I said that, in part out of frustration. But I apologized. I did say that. And look, I'm not claiming to be a choir boy. I'm not claiming to be the smartest guy in the room. I'm not saying I never said stupid shit. I've said a lot of stupid fucking things, like fucking golden, which I fucking regret ever saying. Okay? But I'll insist to the day I die, none of that shit's criminal. And the criminals were the prosecutors who did to me what they did and stole me from the people of Illinois, because I will say this, and I'll say it under oath. I was a fucking great governor for the fucking people. I was on the side of the people. I fought for the people, and I created a whole bunch of political enemies because I did that. And when they saw their opportunity to fuck me, they didn't hesitate, and they did it. You can swear on this, right, Vlad? Because it's too late if
absolutely.
you can't. Okay.
Absolutely. Say whatever you feel.
Okay.